Hi everybody, I'm here today with my good friend Beth Caffrey, and she is the volunteer outreach coordinator for Cat House on the Kings. She also works with all the media, and her job at Cat House on the Kings is to work with the cats we have in this community to provide a place where they can go, be taken care of, to find maybe a match, an adoption for them, and really to do a lot of work to reach the community and let them know some of the problems that we have with unwanted pets. And over the years, Beth has spent a lot of time in my class talking to all of you. And today she's going to talk about what she does at Cat House on the Kings, and also how you can do a better job in terms of what you do in our community and making sure that we reduce the amount of unwanted pets that we have here in the Central Valley in Fresno County. The other thing that's really cool that Beth does is she is the really kind of the organizer for the Central California Animal Disaster Team. So you remember Katrina many years ago, right? So when we have storms, you know, all kinds of things like that maybe humans and pets might get separated. So she does a lot of work with that team in Fresno County, making sure that we have a plan if we have a disaster of some sort. So with that, welcome. Thank you for coming to class, and appreciate it. One other thing is Beth is also going to be a really good connection for your out-of-classroom service learning project. So you can connect with her, you can volunteer with her over the years. She's worked with a lot of our students, so that will be a good opportunity for you as well. And I have some information to share with you after we're done today. Thanks for coming.
Glad to be here. Hello, everyone. How are you? Let's just start out with how many of you have pets, whether at home or here at school with you. Very good. So are you all happy to have pets? Okay, so I'm going to introduce one of mine. This is Cookie. Cookie actually came from the local SPCA, and so she's a little shaky right now because she probably thinks I'm going to cut her nails or something because I'm holding on to her. So I'm actually going to let her go here in a few minutes and let her say hello to everyone. And I'm not sure if anybody has allergies, but we also do have a kitty, so I'll introduce the kitty as well. But Cookie came in. She was on the streets of Fresno. That's how she ended up in animal control. Nobody reclaimed her, so she went up for adoption. And I actually foster failed her. I call a foster failure somebody who adopts their foster. Fostering is kind of like grandparenthood. You take them home for a little bit, love them, raise them, take care of them, and then you bring them back to that organization and they go up for adoption. So it's a really great way to go. So how many of you don't have pets? Have you never had a pet? No? Well, for anybody who hasn't or is interested, fostering is a great way to go. It's kind of a way to test the waters. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. So this is Cookie. She's got her finest outfit on for you today, although she's not really a fan of getting dressed up, but she will do it for students. So I'm going to let her go say hello to everybody. You can go say hi, and then we're going to introduce our next star. She's probably going to be nervous now too. Our next star is Taffy, and yes, it's exciting out here, huh? She's like, I don't know, it's pretty busy. So this is Miss Taffy, and she is a little muted tortoiseshell. She's very sweet, same thing, she's been in a foster home, so she's kind of used to traveling, so she's pretty patient with the whole carrier kind of thing. And I do work for the Cat House on the Kings, so predominantly we take care of cats. For the last 3 years now, animal controls in this community don't take in cats. They actually are not doing that anymore. So it's been particularly hard for the cats in this community to find their way to getting help, to find homes, to get those same resources that dogs have currently here in the community. So next question is, how many of you are from another area besides Fresno? Okay, so this is, if it's new to you to be here in Fresno, one of the things that we have here in the Central Valley is that we have a huge pet overpopulation problem. that we are starting to turn around, and the more involvement that we get, just like you as students, I'm guessing you're all voting age. I'll always put it out there that it's really important to use your voice for the animals. So in every single community, there's usually some type of animal issue or another. For here, dogs and cats particularly have it very, very rough. We are one of the highest euthanasia locations in the whole United States. And so euthanasia, are you familiar with the word euthanasia? What that means is good death, the actual literal translation. So we've changed a lot, we've come a long way, and it's actually a very humane way of ending an animal's life. But for animals like Cookie and Taffy, it's really sad if they have to end their life, especially this young. Here in the Central Valley, the biggest issue that we have, again, is trying to find homes for everyone. For each individual here in the Central Valley, everyone would have to own 45 cats and 15 dogs. Each individual, not household. This is per person. You would have to own that many animals to be able to house them all. That's a huge, staggering number.
And I love it when you say that, because if you think about that when you go through the decision-making process, we're going to talk about some of those hard issues in this class. And so when you kind of paint it with a broad brush and say, we're going to do all no-kill facilities, when we have, what was our number this year for unwanted dogs and cats?
We average about 50,000 in the Central Valley,
So
and that's the ones that we count. That's not including all the ones that don't even get counted.
So 50,000. So go home and tell your parents that you're going to bring home that number of dogs and cats. And so it's a hard decision to make, but it's one of those societal things that we need to make the best decision for the health and the welfare of the animals, and then also society, right? So keep that in mind as we talk about numbers.
We really understand it because we work inside of, whether you work for an animal control or you work for a shelter or a rescue group, we see the numbers. At the Cat House and the Kings, almost daily, we have animals that are brought to us, dumped over the fence, tied to the fence. Every group here in the Central Valley has a lot to deal with. So whatever you're called, if you are an organization that tries not to euthanize, or you are an animal control that is somewhat forced to because of the numbers that they have. So again, math-wise, if you look at it, if you have 50,000 animals and they're going to have to go into a facility that can only house 200 to 400, where are the rest of those animals supposed to go? So there's a lot of things that are also tied to why animals get euthanized. So that's why it's really important to learn those things. In whatever community you live in, it's really good to connect with your local organizations, your local animal control, find out what's going on, find out how you can be helpful. Whether it's volunteering, fostering, just understanding those numbers. You're also, if you have a job, you're also a taxpayer. So as taxpayers, you're also paying for animal control. That's a part of what is in the budget. Fresno County, for example, just improved $3 million to house the dogs, basically dogs and different animals, but mostly dogs, for Fresno County that become displaced, that are homeless for one reason or another. And that's $3 million for just the building alone. That's not staff, that's not medication, that's not all the things that are going to go into it. For each animal that we have at the Cat House and the Kings, they're all spayed and neutered. It's the best thing that you can do for their health and well-being. They all have microchips, they've been vaccinated. We test for FELV, FIV in all of our cats. So there's a lot that goes into each and every adoption because we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing for the animals. It's not just about holding on to them and then putting them somewhere else. So that's very important. Spaying and neutering, can't say enough about that. So how, of those of you with pets, again really quickly, okay, how many of yours are spayed and neutered? Okay, so we have a little bit that probably needs to be. And a lot of times we hear the argument that, well, my animal never goes out. It doesn't go out, so therefore I don't need to spay and neuter it. But it can. Working with a disaster team, I've seen fires, we've had to deal with floods, animals get out, even if it's just an accident because it was the 4th of July or a New Year's party and somebody accidentally let them out. So they get out all the time for various reasons, and for their health and well-being, they need to be spayed and neutered because of things like cancer, whether it's male or female. They bond better to human beings when they've been spayed before their first litter. One of the biggest myths that we're still up against is that they should have a litter. And that's a very big myth, and it's wrong for their health. Again, you prevent cancers and everything else by getting them spayed and neutered. at a young age before they would actually even have a litter. The interesting thing about animals is that boys can smell females up to 5 miles away. Do you know how big the campus is?
I know I should, but I don't. It's big. We have a 1,000-acre working farm just alone.
And you'll see animals a lot of times. There are loose animals over there on the farm because it's a great place to look for food. Not to mention all of your lunches are a great resource for animals here. So I'm sure you've probably seen some stray animals on campus once and again. And so if a male can find a female in 5-mile radius, how many unaltered females could be in that radius? So we're talking about a huge population problem. Every litter hurts. So every time another litter is born in the Central Valley, that's another set of homes that have to be found. So we're affecting other animals. It's a ripple effect, whether you understand that or not. For people that are breeding, again, same thing. There's a lot of great people doing a lot of wonderful things for animals, but there's so much to learn about how everything affects each other. So one of the things that the Cat House and the Kings does, here we're going to see if Taffy will practice some kitty yoga here. There we go. That's some good kitty yoga there. One of the things that we do at the Cat House and the Kings is try to educate as much as possible about animals, their needs, how they're affected by things. And that's a very important thing to do to make sure you pass on. Microchipping is very, very vital because that's how your animals can get home. So I'm going to go back one more time to how many of you have pets? How many of yours are microchipped? Again, highly recommend it. During the 4th of July and New Year's Eve, thunderstorms, especially here in the Central Valley, because we don't really get them. So a lot of animals here in the Central Valley are very affected by thunderstorms. The winds that we had yesterday, I'm sure there were a lot more animals that were out and lost because it's just kind of terrifying to them. They will escape even if they haven't done it before. We've seen animals break through plate glass windows, go through doors, fences, everything, chew their way through a 4-inch thick fence because they were terrified. So get your animals microchipped. It's a really great safety net. Again, animal controls are changing here. Their biggest goal is to get those animals back home to you. So if they can scan them and find that microchip, this is what a scanner looks like. So it's a really easy thing to do. It's like getting a shot, a vaccine, just like going to the doctor. So it's injected under the skin between the shoulder blades, and it stays with them for life. You just register your number, your phone number, your house address, all that kind of thing so that we can track you down. At the Cat House on the Kings, we're kind of a fail-safe. We are a backup, and we actually proactively look for the animals when they become lost. So we're really happy about people getting the microchip, and it's very inexpensive. They offer specials for that all the time, and I'll answer any questions that you have about something like that. So it's a really great thing to do.
Beth, do you still have those lower cost or no cost? Or is that really exclusively with the SPCA?
Spay and neuter?
Now? Yeah.
So spaying and neutering, one of the other things that we do as an organization is that we try to keep in touch with other organizations as to what they offer. So all during the month of February, for example, the Hope Animal Foundation, which is solely dedicated to spaying and neutering. They're not a rescue. They don't take animals in. They do vaccines and health care for animals. It's only going to be $20, I believe, to spay a female. That's really inexpensive. One of the other issues that most communities have is that when people try to do the right thing, they try calling a vet, and they might get that first vet that says it's $300. Because you can make a call today and find a place that will say it's $300 to spay and neuter. And especially for people who have hard income issues, students and things like that, it's too expensive. The Cat House and the Kings, I think currently we're at like $35 for spay and neuter.
That's really, really good. That's a, yes.
So the spay and neuter, is it for dogs and cats?
Dogs and cats. We do dogs and cats, and then we also work with other groups like the SNP team. They tend to focus on dogs, and they'll have a really great deal as well. There's lots of resources. Valley Animal Center here, for example, just had a special on spaying and neutering. So you can call groups like us, and we'll tell you who's got what special right now, so that we can get you in. So we'll work with you. We also transport, Hope Animal Foundation, and we transport. So we'll help you, and we have a meeting place at like the Petco on Blackstone and Ashland, where we'll pick up, take them, get them done, and bring them back to you. So we try to make the process as easy as possible. One of the things that I'm hoping that you'll walk away with is one of our newsletters here, and basically it kind of tells some of the numbers that we had to deal with just in 1 year. So we spayed and neutered 7,000 animals last year. So that's a drop in the bucket. That's a huge amount of animals, but it's not going to really change things as fast as we'd like. We also did rescue 1,631 animals, and 1,363 were adopted out. Now, we are a lifetime sanctuary, so we don't euthanize unless it's in the best interest of the animal. The animals live at our sanctuary until they are rehomed. But this is just one organization, and there are so many. If you get a Saturday Fresno Bee, you'll see a huge listing of animal organizations here in the Central Valley, and we're all juggling a huge amount of animals. Again, like I said, for animal controls, it's a bit more of an issue because they have to keep taking animals in off of the street and keep having them go somewhere. So a lot of times you'll hear that rescue groups are full. We actually spent over $250,000 on spaying and neutering in the last 2 years. And that's at a low cost spay and neuter. So it's very expensive, but it does save lives in the long run. On the Cat House and the King's website, we have a really cool calculator. You can go in and you can do the math of how many animals can get reproduced. So if Cookie here, for example, or Taffy was not spayed or neutered, there's lots of different numbers out there, but basically it's huge. For dogs in 6 years, they could produce up to 67,000 animals. For cats, they can produce over 420,000 animals. So that's all of their offspring, so all the reproduction that goes into it. So if a mama kitty, for example, walks into your yard and has a litter of kittens, and you try to do the right thing by rehoming them, what's going to happen if you rehome them unspayed or neutered? You are helping with the reproduction. So now you're putting all these, say they had a litter of 6, that's 6 more animals that are out in the community somewhere unaltered. And again, that 5-mile radius, just take a map. Look at how huge Fresno County is. And then we have our beautiful agriculture that we have out here. So it's another one of those issues that we have. A lot of times people think it's better just to take the animals out to a farm. And that's really dangerous with all of the equipment and everything that we have. Feral puppies is not something we talk about. You've heard of feral cats, right? And you see all the videos of the man being attacked by a cat who just had an attitude problem at the moment. Feral cats are very hard to diagnose, and that's why it makes it difficult. They are wild cats. An actual feral cat would be completely wild. A lot of times we get kittens in that are like this, like she's just purring on me, but somebody will think because she was scared or timid that she was feral. Feral puppies happen a lot here in the Central Valley because we have open land, agriculture, and things like that. Because when animals are dumped, they have to fend for themselves. And a lot of times they will become feral because they're trying to survive. They will pack up. We see packs of dogs in different areas because of that. And they get very timid. We had one situation that we worked with where the people were very generous. They actually fed the animals before they fed themselves. However, the issue that they got into was that everybody heard about them, that they would take dogs, and so they just kept taking them and taking them and taking them. And they kept building a little bit of housing and more housing. Well, they didn't get the dogs altered, so they started having puppies. So now we had a huge issue where none of these animals were socialized. None of them were used to humans. They were terrified of them, as a matter of fact. And we couldn't rehome any of them except for one. And there were about 300 out there. So really think about what you're doing when it comes to animals and interacting with them. A lot of times we think it's okay because we think we're saving their lives to just put them out on the street or something else, and it's not the best thing that you can do for them. It's much better to have them in an organization, somewhere where they can get help. And if you do have to rehome animals, get them spayed or neutered. So every little thing that you do, you're affecting other animals and other people in your community. There's lots of wonderful, big-hearted people. Michelle's done amazing things with all of the education that are going out there. So every little bit of help is helping somebody else as well. And you're always welcome to ask questions. Even after this class, you can take my number if you have questions, concerns. The best way we can help the animals is to spread information. So for all of you, those of you who don't even have animals or they don't need to go somewhere, I'm having a marvelous time here. Good thing I brought my hair with me. For all of you that maybe don't have animals, but you have a friend who has one or somebody who needs help, connect those dots because it will make a big difference. And remember, you're saving money. I mean, a lot of times animals can be just kind of a sideline thing because we don't really think of it. We've got school, we've got work, we've got so much stuff going on in our lives. We're busy. Class is long, so then you move on to, oh my gosh, what do I have to have ready for the next class? But it's really important, and it's really good for your health and well-being. They recently did a study that said that if you watch cat videos, you'll have a happier, healthier life. So they actually paid money to study that fact, that when people go watch those funny cat videos on YouTube, that it's helping them. So again, animals do so much for us. They're used in advertising all the time. I can't wait to see the new Budweiser ad, for example, during the Super Bowl. You know, we know that they had a foal-born. Here in the Central Valley, I don't want to leave out our large animals. Horses have a huge issue. I used to work for the SPCA, so I was there when we had lots of horse rescues going on. We had a millionaire lottery winner who went and bought a bunch of horses but didn't actually pay attention if they were being taken care of and they were getting starved to death. So animals of all kinds need help and interaction. Horses especially. How many of you have horses? Highly recommend on the disaster side of me that you teach them how to trailer. We've seen it more and more happen where they have to get in trailers and they're not used to it. We actually had a donkey once that we had to walk all the way back to the shelter because we couldn't get him in the trailer. So if you have animals, whatever kind they are, make sure that they get used to getting in vehicles and that they can be transported. The disaster team is the Central California Animal Disaster Team. Please go onto the website, it's ccadt.org, and check it out. There's a huge prep list of all the things that you should have if you have an animal. I hope you all have go bags so that you can run out the door at any minute if there's a disaster. We can have a tornado here. We had one touch down pretty close. So there's lots of things that you should be prepared for, and especially if you live in areas where they're prone to that. So your animals should also have a go bag, just like you do, of things that are really important to them, like their toys, their blankets, their food, that kind of thing. And I can help you with that as well. Up here I have lots of materials for you. Again, it's all about education. Taffy's available for adoption, by the way. So
every single animal that Beth ever brings to class is like this. She has some kind of power over them, and it's just like she's wearing them all the time. It's so funny. And I know we're getting close to running out of time, and any questions about any of the content that Beth has presented today? Again, a wealth of knowledge, a great contact if you want to do your 10 hours of out-of-classroom service learning with Beth. I'm going to give you some further information and her contact. And anything before we close?
Breeds, if anybody has favorite breeds that they know, again, just learn more. I can't stress that enough. You may not think of questions now, but you are welcome to contact me with questions later. It's really important. It's well worth it. It's going to be good for your health or well-being as well, too, even if it's just going in to spend some time petting the animals. If you go to any organization and pet them, love on them, you're actually helping them get adopted. So that makes a big difference. I couldn't do what I'm doing with Taffy here hadn't I had not more help from her foster parent and things like that. So I do like to think I have a magic, but I have lots of other people that are behind me helping with that too. So thank you. I appreciate being here, and I appreciate all of your attention and your time, and I hope you continue to carry this on and do more good.
Please join me in thanking Beth for coming to speak to us today. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
And Cookie.